We met the CEO of Box. That guy said, we basically have two corporate values at Box. First one is get shit done. And the second one is make mom proud. And he said, well, with those two values, a lot of things can be accomplished just by having those two. It did have some asterisks when it said that make mom proud. It said, make mom proud unless she's evil.
Welcome to the Masks Off podcast, Leadership Strategies, No Disguises. I'm Razwana Waheed, and together with my co-host Olivier Larvor, we talk to the smartest people in the world of leadership, change and psychology to give leaders real strategies to bring human back to the workplace.
If you would like to support our show, please subscribe to our channel, like us, or share this episode on your social media. It will help us greatly.
In this episode, we speak to Annick Vandezande, COO at Nexxworks, on the future of work and what non-revenue focused KPI drives profit and how you can apply it.
I spent all of my life at the Big Four, of which 10 years at PwC. Although I had some marvelous time really there is one thing that really frustrated me hell, and that was their KPI, their evaluation system. Although it led to my success, I became a director through it, it became a real burden to me. I didn't like it anymore, because if you look to those KPI, all these Big Four firms, they're all run by three KPIs. The first one is utilization. How much of your time can you spend on a client? What's the revenue? Doesn't matter what you sell, whether the people are really happy with what you're selling, but get the revenue in. The bigger revenue you have, the bigger your mouth is, the bigger things you can accomplish in such a firm. And what we call realization, and that's a very difficult word just to say. What is the fee per hour that you can charge to a client? Just looking at those three main KPIs, that doesn't make me in all honesty, wow, yeah, I want to go completely for this firm, I want to go and do the extra mile. These are not at all inspiring. I got into Nexxworks, and in Nexxworks, we inspire companies to act upon their day after tomorrow. A big concept, but what we do is we bring them to innovation zones around the globe. And on one of these immersive experiences, we met the CEO of Box, which you all know as a document management company, like online document storage. That guy said, we basically have two corporate values at Box. And the first one is get shit done. And the second one is make mom proud. And he said, well, with those two values, a lot of things can be accomplished just by having those two. It did have some asterisks when it said that make mom proud. It said, make mom proud unless she's evil. Does that mean that you have to have zero revenue targets? That now also in Nexxworks we just go, whoa, we just surf a bit around? No, that's not true. Revenue is one thing, but what we want to do is have a bigger purpose. And when we were looking at our year plan on the things we want to accomplish, well, we said if by the end of this year, so in December, we are again together, I want to be proud. I want to be proud of all the things that I've done. When are you proud? Well, when you can say to your mom or to the others, look what I've accomplished. And that's what we have exactly done.
If you were going to go to a company that, like the Big Four, is very focused on revenue, and they wanted to see the connection between other accomplishments and revenue, because businesses do exist to make money, right? So how would you convince them that if they were not to have revenue as one of the major KPIs, but they had different KPIs, that actually it would benefit their revenue?
They need to have KPIs that are much more client driven. I had a discussion based on the article with one of my former colleagues that said, well, Annick, you're not right. We do have some customer KPIs also in there. It's not true. Evaluations and promotions are still all on that revenue and all on that utilization. So you need to look at, am I really doing things that my customers really like? Get more in dialogue with them, and also much more on your employee. Are you really caring for other employees? Are you making sure that the other employees can grow, that they have the freedom, that they have flexibility? They need to rethink their whole KPI system and the way they do bonuses. And it needs to be much more human, much more fun, much more. If you look at your motivations, you're getting motivated. What makes you get up every morning?
The passions, the values, that I have,
yes,
something that you accomplish.
I've
been working also in corporate for quite some time. The issue with KPIs, you always bring KPIs, and this is your objective, guys. So the end goal doesn't matter anymore. The people, what I've seen is the teams will just want to meet the KPI, the figure, the numbers, by any means. And I've seen even teams cheating, cheating just to make sure that they hit the number. Doesn't matter what it means for the customer. Suddenly the motivation was the number itself, whatever the cost was. And I think that's also the danger that it can bring. Have you seen that in your experience?
Yes, especially when it goes to sales. You're with multiple people. The sales never gets done by one person, right? But it should go on to one person in the end to meet the KPI. And then you have, no, it's my sales figure. No, it's mine. And you have all departments really, fighting one another because they want to have the sales figure on their department. It's not the way you will grow your business, right?
It's almost a shift of paradigm. And I know that you have these ideas that you're sharing about you need to be passionate, that needs to be meaningful, these things. You need to do your work in a meaningful way. This is something which is kind of still new ideas. Do you encounter any resistance at the moment from these big companies when you come with these big ideas?
Yeah, of course they do. Because if you look at how organizations are built, for years they have been built with the fact that they had a solution or a product or a service, right? They push that into the market. And what they do is that they build some processes around it and they go for operational excellence on making these processes even better. And then they have a management layer on top. And then from the management layer, you get company culture and so on. And then only you get to the customer, really. What we are saying is that you need to do reverse thinking. You need to start your organization really with putting the customer in the center, and you start from there. And if you do that, you need to have employees around them that have empathy, passion, creativity. You need to allow them to be very flexible in their job. And we like to take the example of Zappos, right? Zappos is a well-known firm on online shoes, but the way that company is structured is they put the customer really in the center, and they allow their employees to get a certain freedom to be flexible, so they do not have processes that are really carved in stone. And that's how you get to different values. One of the top values of Zappos is to provide a wow experience. Sorry, looking to my background in consulting the Big Four, I don't think that their top values is providing a wow experience to customers. I'm not trying to bash on consulting here, because they do terrific things also. But looking really internally to those firms, they don't take that as the very top priority. So it's a reverse thinking that is something that organizations are struggling with, because they always thought we have a concept and solution, and we put that in the market, and hey, we optimize the way we push that forward. And it's quite differently to start with the customer in the middle. Nice example on KPIs. If you look to call centers, what are the KPIs in a call center? It is how many calls can you handle per hour. The longest call in Zappos took like 8 hours. They have different KPIs. And that allows them to do the job better, to connect better with their customers.
I like that, because I think when you put the customer at the center, it takes the ego of the team out of it. It's not about how much I can make. Yes. It's not about how much I can shine. It's about how much can we serve our customers, and in turn we make our revenue and we meet our figures because we're serving them from a non-egotistical place.
Yes, indeed.
What about in your organization? Because you have an organization yourself, right? So how does it work yourself? Do you apply this kind of strategies? How does it work yourself? Do you have any processes, KPIs on your own?
We do not have KPIs. We have a big budget or revenue target we want to accomplish. That we say, okay, it would be nice if we get there. But apart from that, like I said, we have our New Year's resolutions. We have some things we want to accomplish. We say, okay, we geographically we would like to go there, and on content we would like to go there. And we have some people that we do not have job descriptions.
That's good. I like.
When we hire people, we are again in a new round of hiring people, and they go, yes, Annick, and what will I do? And then I go, well, I can tell you what you might be doing the next, 2 months, maybe. But hey, there are different things we want to do, and just pick out the things that you're passionate about. And I mean, we say we wanted to accomplish those things, but let's use your skills and what you want to do. So you do all things because you want to make, again, the customers happy, and we get into our own processes. It's very informal, the way we do things. And I know that maybe that is very difficult to bring to a big organization. But in every big organization, there are small teams. And then you hear people struggling with, it's difficult to connect between people. Not everybody is in the office. And then I go, at Nexxworks, I'm deeply sorry, but a lot of our people are like around the world all the time, because we do these innovation tours, or we use Slack, and we use our WhatsApp groups, and there are different ways to connect with one another. And it's the same thing also in bigger companies. If you just use some of the tools that are free, available, that will help with little things. It will help you to make that team cohesion. And if you look at what we share, if you just look to our WhatsApp group, it's not a sharing. Yes, sometimes there's something like, we've won that client, but a lot of it shows the passion we have. So a lot of things are, hey, look, we've done this, or look, or we share something. A client has said, we were in Las Vegas, we were at Zappos last week. There was an internal communication from one of the clients that came along on that tour to his boss saying, wow, this is an amazing experience, wow. And that mail got shared within the group. So you need to share those customer stories. It makes people that might not be working like every day having contact with a client, they all go happier. They're like, wow, yeah, great, because that is what we live for. That it's the impact we want to have on clients.
So tell us a few more strategies that companies can apply to promote that concept of customer-centric and the team working to serve the customer, rather than focusing on KPIs. Because I know a lot of traditional business owners will listen, or managers, directors will listen to this podcast, and they'll say, okay, I work in a business that doesn't work like that currently, but I would like to move towards that. So what strategies can you advise them to implement?
If they would start to use the innovation potential of all their employees, that would be a big start. We've worked with a company in the west of Flanders. If you know a bit of Belgium, the west of Flanders, it's like these are the farmers, and these are the guys that really go, not too much blah blah. You just go into it and you do your stuff. And it's a big company. And we helped them through an innovation track where they used the potential of all their employees. So everybody could come up with an idea. About 100 people turned in just on an A4, just a paper. So no complex systems that were implemented with ratings and so on. No, just a simple piece of paper. And then they went into an arena where they had to pitch. And about 20 IDs were able to pitch because they were good enough. And from the 20 IDs, 5 went on. Again, we coached them, challenged them on their ID. And in the end, there was from the 5, 1 got chosen and was able to go to the States, to the mother company, and was able to get a funding of about 3 million euro in order to really pursue their ID. Now, what happens in that organization is you have a cultural change, because all the IDs were all around how can we add more value to our customers, or how can we deliver new services to our customers. And what happens now is that it's not something of the R&D department or of the innovation department. You actually have the whole organization thinking about that customer and thinking about how can we do things differently. You need to use the innovation potential of all your employees. I don't think it's only because you have that title or that title. It's not only something that startups do. They always think startups are the ones that can innovate and get in touch with only startups. I mean, if you we talk with MasterCard or Adobe Kickstart program. I mean, those guys, these are big companies. And how do you do employee retention and making sure organizations customer focused is by using the potential of your employees.
One thing that I would like to say is I like your passion, because you're just so energetic, on this interview.
Yeah.
But
don't be
it's
sorry.
not sorry. Actually,
I love it. It's infectious.
It's actually this is exactly what you just live what you preach at the moment. You have this passion and you say this is what we do, and we are drawn to that, and I so much like that. I've been to your website. And we've seen innovation, right? And the very first thing that were in my mind was, okay, innovation means technology. It means another application, another software, another system, right? That's the only thing that comes in my mind. And I was just like, okay, so how do innovation comes with humans and people? And it makes sense to me. We just explain it, like innovation potential. The innovation really is within the people, right? Within the people. And that's huge, actually. And people don't think about that, but bringing this from the people. I've talked with one big manager from a big company, and he said, yeah, but that works for startups. Doesn't work. When you reach a certain amount of people, 100,000, how can you, everyone needs to have a job description. Everybody needs to know where we're going. So you disagree with that?
I disagree with that. I think one advice I could also give to leaders is that, like you say, I'm quite passionate. As a leader, if you're passionate, I mean, the rest of your team will get that same spirit. I mean, if you're a company that wants to go for money, I mean, and that revenue is the main thing, it's completely different than if you have a purpose. The purpose of Nexxworks is to make impact to our customers. But let's not only take Nexxworks, but if you take, for example, Amazon, what is their purpose? Their purpose is to become the store of everything. There's even a book on it. When they talk to their shareholders, they say, look, guys, I mean, we hope to make some money, but our end goal is to become the store of everything. So a lot of anything we earn will all go in investment there. So don't think you will get high dividends or whatever payouts, because we're going to invest. And I mean, that is a certain purpose you give to also the employees and to everybody. I mean, because you have a goal where you want to go, which is so different than if you do not have that higher purpose, you do not have a way to talk about that passion or to share stories about that passion. Because we also like to share is the storytelling. It's so important. And not because stories are really nice to tell, because they are, of course, nice to tell, but because it allows people to continue and tell those stories to somebody else. So if you have really nice customer stories like Zappos has, I mean, it allows employees to tell these customer stories to others. And again, these customers, it allows to tell the same stories to other customers.
It bonds you into the values and the brand of the business as employees and as customers, because the more stories you tell, the more you connect with them. Something I'm very passionate about. Storytelling.
Story, it's very human. It's not about yes, we've implemented a technical system somewhere. No, it's something. It is an emotional thing. A story.
Emotional.
Otherwise, it's not a story. Otherwise, it's I don't know.
I like that. I like what you just said. You said you bring emotions now back in the workplace. Something that we don't allow. Almost these things in the workplace, in the corporate, and that's so important now.
If you read the book, for example, of my partner Steven van Belleghem, he has a book on when digital becomes human, and there he talks a lot about those emotions and the fact that it's not all about digital. It's not because you see a lot of those new technologies and they're all super, but it's about what that does to a human and how your customer behavior and customer expectations are changing. And what we like to do is we like to, the movie Inside Out from Disney, right?
Absolutely.
Talks about 5 basic emotions. And if you take anger, disgust, sadness, and fear, which are negative emotions, they all get there because somebody causes to use something. Because, for example, in a customer relation, he had a bad day or a certain process doesn't work the way you want it to work. It's because humans, I mean, we make a lot of mistakes, and that's how we make those negative emotions. So if you digitize those processes, if you digitize those operational processes, you get rid of those nasty emotions, of course, and you do want to get rid of those, right? You want to have positive emotions with your customers. So if you paid attention well, I did not mention one of the fifth emotion, and the fifth one is joy. Joy. And it's also triggered by human encounters and by human relations. So that's why. How can you bring human into the relationship? How can you use the data to make things personal? Because computers will make things really will personalize things, but it's only humans that can make a relationship really personal. Right. And computers can predict what will happen, but it are humans that can surprise and that can deliver wow experience, that can over. Can we make things more what we call fast, fun, and easy? Just in any process you do with your employees, but also towards your customers, if we can make it fast and easy, companies understand. But can we make it fun also?
That would be so cool.
Yeah, it's a scary word. Fun is a scary word. Fun? What? No. We don't get paid to have fun.
You see things are changing so much and so rapidly in the workplace. You mentioned Zappos and with the organization that they have, which is holocracy, I believe, and things are moving very, very fast because of the complexity also. So let's say that you have this crystal ball, and what if you look at this very carefully, what do you see in the future? What is the future of work according to you?
Just by looking at some startups and some successful innovators, that tells you already a lot about future of work. They all share some things in common, and they are very transparent about company figures. Everybody knows the full inside out. Leadership is very accessible to all employees. They're not just somewhere in a high tower with the fancy offices and the fancy whatever. And they provide a huge flexibility to their staff in defining like when they want to work, where they want to work. And when an employee decides then to come to the office, it needs to be a fun, a nice place to be, and not because of the ping pong tables that are there, which obviously in the startups, a lot of ping pong tables.
Do you have one? Do you have one in your company?
Yeah. Big question. Do you have one?
Sure, we have one.
Wow.
We are in a co-working space. You're in a co-working space. And
okay.
Ping pong table here.
You're forgiven, Annick. You're forgiven for that.
Yes. But it's not a sterile office space. You now see companies redesigning their offices, and it's very nice, but it's not. Again, you come back to the emotions. It's not like mom's living room. I mean, if you go to a lot of the co-working spaces, why are these so nice? Because you get home, you get to mom's living room, and you have your own office, and that's like your student room. When you take a break, you go to the living room, and it feels like that. It's a sharing environment, and if you want to go and have more in a concentration room, you can find that. If you want to be with your legs on the sofa and have a discussion with somebody else, with a colleague, you can do so. So it's much more flexible. And I mean, you have to give that flexibility to your employees, because you have to if you want to keep them, because otherwise people will change jobs. I mean, the transparency in the job market is huge now. I mean, people change jobs much more often, and if you talk about the future of work, you as an employer need to take that into account, that your employees, if you do not provide them that flexibility, they change. Look at the millennials. They change jobs about what, every 2 years?
2 to 3 years, yeah.
And not only that, I mean, a lot of the people, they are now self-employed. I mean, look at the platforms like Uber and 99 Design or Upwork or TaskRabbit. So there are much more other opportunities now for you to be self-employed. And you also see the first artificial intelligence employees that are being hired, like you have Ross, the first artificial intelligence attorney, where you can just ask your questions and then he answers it for you, and he learns from experience. And we've tried with Nexxworks, we've tried Amy out already. Not sure whether you know Amy, which allows you to book meetings for you. So when I want to have a meeting with you, I ask Amy to look in both our agendas. I have to say that Amy, doesn't work yet that well, but like I say, they are still artificial intelligence. It's still like a toddler now. I mean, they are just starting. Still need to grow. But we are trying out her brother now. We are trying out Andrew and hoping that Andrew will be better than Amy. But yeah, so
we need to have annual reviews with all this artificial intelligence, to develop them. A development plan for artificial intelligence, I guess.
If you had to give one piece of advice to leaders, what would it be?
Use the power of your employees. Use them to the utmost, because they are your future. Be a leader. Be a different leader than in the past. Be a leader that drives their employees forward and give them a dream, give them a purpose. If you're one of the brightest employees and you can choose between a company that has a bigger purpose, that has a terrific goal, or one that is much more profit-oriented, which company will you go for?
I will go to yours.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Once again, if you would like to support our show, please subscribe to our channel, like us, or share this episode on your social media. Merci.